we're going to get on to the Daily Rant. So
Might as
for
well
this
go ahead.
Daily Rant, we have a little bone to pick with how hard it is to make it in the art world, especially being in small town Ohio, Youngstown, Akron area. It's just a little bit penisy. The struggle is real, as they say. And one of the things that I was brainstorming about, that we all kind of were brainstorming about before the show, was how academia and the arts don't really mix. And Chris, you want to jump in here on that?
Yeah, the hardest thing about mixing the two is they always want to put it in a box. You know, the arts it's not exactly
on the hillside.
You know, they say what's in the box, right? But the arts are
Sorry, I spoiled it.
They kind of don't fit the mold. They don't. It's hard to collapse it all down, and they try to teach you things, which is great. You know, you have to learn somehow how to art, as they say, but but there's a great deal of experimentation and self-discovery that goes along the way that they don't really cover, and a lot of it you have to kind of figure out for yourself and everything like that, and figure out ways to manipulate things.
You're absolutely right there. They also don't tell you the great amount of risk involved. We talked in our academia episode on how, I spent 10 years in college, right? And now I have a shitload of student loan debt. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm about, $90K. He's about 108. What about you?
Well, I'm down to 25, so...
Oh, good for you.
Right
That's
on.
awesome.
25, so...
It's only
Check
moderately depressing.
Well, I only went for a bachelor, so... you
But one
son
of the
suckers.
things, because I went to MFA school, motherfucking awesome school, for those who don't know. Actually, a Master's of Fine Arts. But so I have my Master's of Fine Arts in poetry. But one of the things that they don't tell you, because they teach you, they teach you how to write better. They teach you how to perfect your craft. They teach you nothing about the publishing side of it, about marketing yourself, about how to make it in that world. Just like you said, they kind of just throw you to the wolves and let you try and figure it out by yourself. I don't think that that's necessarily the right thing to do here, and I almost feel like I don't want to say it's a waste of money, but I feel like you would be better off just doing your own thing, especially now in the internet age.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. The world's made smaller, and you can access everything so much easier, but also because it's so easy for everybody to do it now, it's like,
Absolutely.
if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Well, now it's easy, so everybody's doing it. So you got to be that much better, and you got to be that much more on your game to do it.
Yeah,
just go out there and fight.
It's a lot more competitive now, isn't it?
Yeah, but the biggest thing is you got to look inside yourself and say, okay, I got to go get this, and I'm going to put out the best damn stuff I can do, and just keep doing that. And never rest on that laurel, if you would.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you were mentioning how difficult it is to kind of stay relevant today. And that's an interesting thing to think about too, because of how fast our information is shared. Like, for instance, in the news, right? Back in the day, you'd get, a few big stories, right? And that's all everybody would talk about on the 30 channels. Now we have the fucking internet, and everybody wants their information now. They want their art now. They want everything now. That sense of instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
And so there's so much more content.
Yeah.
Now, because of that.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm wondering is, from your perspective, is how difficult is that to stay relevant in the information age?
The biggest thing is you have to keep going. You don't just stop. I mean, yeah, I'll do a great drawing, and I'll be like, yeah, this is amazing, and I'll share it. But then I realize that tomorrow's another day, and I have to share some more. So then I have to just keep drawing. I have to draw until my hand falls off, just to keep. I
hope your hands don't fall off.
I hope they don't either.
It's a horrible.
But you realize, you
Hands.
a lot of people, just to get to your information and to your page and whatnot, they have to sort through a great deal of, let's just say it, crap. They have to get through,
Right.
gossip, news, sports information, all this stuff just to kind of get to your little piece of heaven that you call Professor Boyfriend's schoolhouse.
Hey.
So,
Right, yeah.
shameless plug.
We need a bell.
Everybody share. Everybody like.
We need a
Find
counter
me.
for that,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
ding.
Ding.
Help us stay relevant.
As a self-proclaimed like non-creative, I don't do music or art or anything. I sometimes listen to music or look at art, and I wonder, how can you still be original when I feel like I have heard every beat there is to hear or seen every drawing I could possibly see? It's like, is originality become an issue?
As long as you're thinking of ideas and you're not, I mean, you can derive. I was told in school, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything's been done before.
Right.
So it's just doing variations of it and putting a unique spin on it.
Yeah,
which is really all it is.
there is a theory that goes, nothing is original. We
Yeah.
all get something from someplace
I
else.
think about that constantly. What's the metaphor? If you put like a monkey in front of a typewriter, eventually he will produce Shakespeare, right?
Yeah. So,
yeah.
and it's one of those things. It's like, again, even if you don't, there's still, like, even if you did come up with a truly original idea, there's a good likelihood with 7 billion people on this planet, somebody else is going to come up with the same idea, because we're all
Somebody thought of it.
thinking, moving, walking, talking computers that are constantly taking in information and spewing it back out. So,
Somehow, I'm amazed that nobody's thought of Professor Boyfriend.
yeah.
My
yeah.
Twitter handle,
Truly
nobody has it but
unique.
me. And on Facebook, I'm at Professor Boyfriend.
Just yeah.
You know, and that's super cool. So thank you, Mrs. Boyfriend, for thinking up my name. She christened me Professor Boyfriend one day, and that's how that came to be.
And now it's a brand.
And now it will be a brand eventually. Maybe you'll buy me on a T-shirt somewhere.
Ooh, there
or
you
me
go.
flipping you off or something. I don't know.
That's it.
But you know, going back to that idea of originality, because I used to be a visual artist. I do possess, you know, visual art skills. I can draw. In fact, I was going to go to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh for college, and at the last minute, I backed out because they lied to me about my tuition. They said, "Oh, well, your tuition is going to be this." You know, they gave me this estimate. I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then, like, they gave me another estimate after that, which was like $10,000 more or something ridiculous. And I was like, why is this more money? And they were like, oh, well, that first estimate was for the first year of housing. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go to a school that's going to be shady like that to me. And that was my first argument against that. My second argument against that is that I didn't feel that I was very good at producing original content, or my own style anyway. I felt like I was copying somebody else all the time. You know, like you guys, I'm an avid reader of comics. I used to draw stuff like that. And in high school, I really fell in love with printmaking. And I just tried really hard not to copy fucking Andy Warhol, you know? But I love Andy Warhol, right? So it's like...
Who doesn't?
I don't know. I don't know how you can't love Andy Warhol. He was one of the last great artists of our time.
Oh, a literal icon in so many different senses.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. So that's one thing. I don't know if you want to chime in on that at all.
I mean, going through all through high school, you know, if you show promise and you show talent and everything like that, people are naturally going to want to push you in a direction and everything like that. And I swear, it seemed like every year, the same time every year, I would talk to the representative from Pittsburgh every freaking year, and he's like, "Oh, we would absolutely love to have you and everything like that." And then they told me what the cost was going to be, and I was like, you know, and at the time, I wasn't the best student, but I was a good student. I wasn't the typical person. I got good grades and everything like that. But that wasn't going to matter here. And yeah, I would have maybe gotten an accredited degree, but for all that money to go out of, I mean, even just over the border, out of state tuition and then housing and everything else. It just was going to be too much. So I ended up going and not applying to any schools except for Youngstown. Because I was like, hey, let's just keep this simple and I'll just commute back and forth.
Then you did go to Youngstown.
I know. I wouldn't have met you wonderful folk.
I know.
You know?
Exactly.
So
you wouldn't have had all those good times.
But yeah, so you get guided towards these
Those drunken
to these
nights.
things. Drunken nights. Oh,
We were
plenty
great
of them.
students.
That'll be another episode.
Yeah.
That'll be an R-rated or X-rated
Yes,
video.
our nostalgic college episode.
Yes. So, so that really made the money became the decision and everything like that.
Oh,
and
yeah. and
unfortunately,
it always is part of the decision.
unfortunately, you know, unfortunately that became the decision, and not a very well educated one. So if I would say that if there's anything, it's like when you're going in, you got to make sure you do, you dot your I's and cross all your T's and everything like that, knowing what you want to do. But with that, like you said, you go in and you see where the cost of being an artist is ridiculous, and then the workload and the course load and everything like that. I always said it's the hardest degree to get, because just for the simple sake that if it takes you 6 hours to make that drawing right, that's the kind of time you got to put into it. If you put anything less than that, then it's not going to be where you want it to be, and that's where we were getting at with you can't rest on your laurels and everything like that. You just got to keep pushing forward.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. You got to keep going ahead.
Yeah, you got to
Rather
push
than,
yourself every single time.
You don't get knocked back.
Exactly.
Right.
You're competing against yourself
Um,
and everybody else.
And that's kind of hard, especially in a small town, or rather a not as well-known place or not as big place. You know, you live in Akron now.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a step up from Youngstown a little bit. You're a little closer to Cleveland. But at the same time, it's not New York.
Yeah.
Or LA or Chicago or any of those big cities that you probably might have greater success in, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just slightly larger than Youngstown. It's not very much, not by much, but because again, you're just slightly off the highway, and you're only, you have access to bigger cities, like in any direction you go, or you can go to the smaller cities, and that's really great. But the biggest thing I would say is if you're gonna go somewhere, go to where the opportunities are. And moving to Akron is the best thing I've done ever, because it's just there's a little bit more going on in the arts realm, and there's more opportunities, more jobs. The bigger you go, the better. You would think the better the opportunities. But you still have to fight for them. You know what I mean? You still got to do the work and put yourself out there, and that's really hard for a lot of people. They don't like.
Oh, absolutely. And you're freelance?
I am freelance. I am my profession. My title is artist at my day job. I design for T-shirts. I design for print and some web graphics. Very, very minor on that, because it's not my cup of tea. But then also I illustrate, and that's what I do the most. That's my passion. So I'll do everything from comic books to children's books, to anything.
You got to do what you love.
Exactly.
Because if you don't, you go crazy. I remember there was a time when all I was doing was teaching. I didn't get enough of time to do those creative things that I wanted to do, to put my passion somewhere. Because you have to contain that.
Yeah, the creative outlet, actually. You have to let it out, really. Not contain it.
You
You gotta let it out.
And if you let it stew, it gets corrupted and fucked up. And it's really peanutty, and you just don't want to do that. Just don't do it. You have to have an outlet, everybody, or else you go crazy. We don't want you to go crazy here in Professor Boisman's schoolhouse, especially in the schoolhouse. So don't do that.
This is a safe space.
So you're independent pretty much right now, but you said previously that you've done corporate work.
Yeah, as a trained graphic designer, I've done work as in a cubicle, among other.
Sounds boring. Did you have a red stapler?
I did not actually.
Darn it.
I did not. And I didn't burn the place down, so that's
Super
good.
glad you didn't do that.
So and that's the key there. And that's the key there. Don't burn the place down. But yeah, it was just, the corporate realm. It was very sterile.
I get that.
I heard I heard the same 6 songs from the girl in the next cubicle over, listening to at a reasonable volume. We're so gonna get sued for ripping off Office Space.
This is real life.
This is real life. So yeah. So but yeah, that was and by comparison to, I've also worked for small business and in freelance capacities, and it depends on what you want. I mean, for the small business, you have a little bit more creative control. Like, you can do pretty much whatever you want within.
And you prefer that then?
I would say yes, because anytime you can be creative to the nth degree, with very minimal supervision, that's kind of like the perfect situation, right? I mean, if you could go ahead and write and do this all day, every day with no Big Brother looking over your shoulder or anything like that. Probably shouldn't have used Big Brother. I mean, without any.
We don't like you, Big Brother.
So yeah, but
1984.
I prefer it because again, there's more creativity. I really like freelance, and I really like doing the illustration on my own, because then I make the rules. I decide when it's, you know what I mean. You can make those decisions for yourself.
Yes, you're quite good.
Thank you.
In fact,
oh man, here we go.
I have a little something here.
Oh man, what is this?
It's kind of stained. I
Oh,
don't
it's
know how
kinda
that
stained.
happened.
Oh.
Coffee, maybe?
It looks like coffee.
But
Wink.
this
Coffee.
is an old drawing that
Oh.
Chris did for me
This is a decade
back
old.
in 2008.
Oh wow.
Does that say 08?
That is 08. Yes, that is
Okay.
my signature.
So this is from 2008. I wanted him to design a tattoo for me. I still haven't gotten this. It's kind of not finished, but the idea was that all my favorite movie serial killers are killing me. And see, I had hair back then.
If nothing, get the tattoo just to remind everybody you had hair.
Yes, I did have hair.
I
promise.
remember.
I
I haven't
remember
been
too.
bald for my whole life. But I thought this is funny to dig up out of my attic.
Oh,
I need to frame this, honestly, because this is near and dear to me. This was something that was personally drawn for me. And I really appreciate that. And despite what you think about it, I love it. I do.
So
And now Chris does a lot of character designs, where he'll take he does all these superheroes and stuff like that. He goes to all the conventions like the Youngstown, what is it, Comic-Con now?
yes, Youngstown.
It used to be the All-American, but I mean, this is it going to air.
Oh, is this
after
the same
fact.
event as the old
The
All-American?
Comic-Con.
They just changed the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did
So.
change the name.
So yeah, it's my favorite
The
show.
Comic-Con is actually this coming weekend, but this is going to air after that, so we're not really going to promote that.
No. Yeah.
But he's going to be there. And he goes every year. So next year, go see him.
We'll see where to find it.
If you have the time. Comic-Con's fun. I've been there. And several times. It's always fun to go to the different vendors.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
Did this used to be in a yard on the west side?
No, that was LawnCon. That was put on by Chris Yambler.
It used to be at Packard.
It used to be at Packard
Yeah.
Music Hall. It actually started at right on Courthouse Square. There were some empty storefronts, and it was just one big area. And it was $2 to get in for the first year and everything like that. And all the vendors were free to
How
get.
much is it now?
It's $15 a day, but
Oh.
it's gone from being it's gone from being a
That's
little
my whole life saved.
it went from being like a $2 event for 4 or 5 hours of just guys just geeking out and being stupid and selling, selling and trading their stuff,
Yeah.
to being like a full-on convention,
Yeah.
like, with real like guests, with great vendors and everything like that. It's really kind of come
Huge
along, right?
venue.
Yeah, bigger venue, much bigger venue.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
comparatively.
comparatively.
I mean, Packard Music Hall, it was getting to the point where you'd walk out just to get up to take a leak from behind your table, and you felt like you were in an iron lung where your breath was getting taken out of you, recycled through everybody else's lungs, and then put back in for you. And then let's be real here, guys. Real talk. The smell. They can only keep it so cool. With this place, it's a much bigger event. At least it dissipates easier.
Right.
The unwashed folk.
The unwashed masses.
I almost lost my lunch that I didn't eat yet.
Right
there. Well, yeah, that's awesome. Do you think that something is going to come of this for you? What are your plans? I mean, obviously this is. I guess what I'm saying is obviously right now this is supplemental to you.
Yeah.
It's not like your passion. Your passion is something that you want to do more full time.
Yeah. Right now, everybody has the day job, especially when you're trying to get into this. I worked at a gas station for like 7 years.
I remember.
I worked at a gas station for 7
Over
years.
in
So I
Champion.
finally got and it's that was fun. So, but yeah, like everybody had the day job. Everybody started out somewhere, and then you slowly work your way up till you finally get that first major art job, and then you build from there. And each job gets easier to get, and that's the part of staying relevant. Once you get one job, you just keep working the living crap out of it until you can get the next one. And like I said, with the world getting smaller, there are other things you can do. You can do 99 designs. You can do threadless, where you get profit sharing and things like that from doing great designs and everything.
Sure.
A lot of it's contest based, so you put the work in and hope to God you get it.
Right.
And if you don't, at least you put yourself out there, and it's a good way you can hone your skills that way. But so right now it's supplemental. And it's I think I've gotten to the point now where I've realized, okay, supplemental's not good enough anymore. So now
it's never good enough.
Yeah. So the next
no longer
step,
sufficient.
Yeah, so the next step is obviously creating original content. So right now I'm in process with a fellow writer, a great friend of mine, Tom Pugh. We're actually
You need to get his ass on.
Yeah,
I know,
love Tom.
right? So
Shout out to Tom.
Yeah,
Hey, bud.
hey.
That would be cool. Tom Pugh, you're coming on the show.
Hopefully he's getting a good chuckle at all this and everything like that. And I told him we were coming on, and he's like, "Really? That is fantastic!"
Yay!
So,
great. Yeah, I gotta hit him up.
So, so we started. I let him play with my toys a little bit. So I designed a handful of characters, and we're kind of putting together like a nice chronological order for everything. And
That's great.
Yeah, and we're putting everything together kind of in place. And setting up so that way every character has a backstory that it kind of fits into a nice little neat narrative, and we want to make it more of a we want to start with just one book, just get one book.
Yeah, right.
One complete story.
That's
and
feasible.
Then with the intent to do a second. Really, to be honest, I just want to get through one just to see where we're at, and then after that, then we can kind of go and figure out what we want to do next. But at least the groundwork is there for multiple stages. But right now
exciting.
that's in development, and the characters are designed. We're just fleshing them out, just making sure that hey, what does he look like from that angle?
Right.
So
And do you have a name for this book yet?
We actually haven't yet. It's
Untitled.
It's a universe of its own, so it's not just a book. It's a living, breathing kind of world. Kind of
how
thing,
neat.
So
And
we wanted to go big and work our way down.
So, what's it about?
So basically, it's gonna be mostly kind of superhero based, but a little bit more grounded, not as fantastical. Still
So kind of
has-
like Heroes?
kind of, but it's gonna have historical markers throughout.
Oh, very cool. Like
we're-
Watchmen?
Kind of. But we're gonna start a little earlier. We're gonna start actually the original character that we're focusing around two main characters. One is a futurist kind of character, and then the second is an alien. So my two major archetypes. I love Superman. I love Iron Man. So let's kind of do something similar, but we are taking complete different. We're kind of turning it on its head. Pretty much the whole storyline starts in 1949, 1950 with the Area 51 kind of thing. So we're starting at Area 51, where there's some cultural
I like
markers.
where this is going.
There's some historical markers with Vietnam, with Charles Manson is going to make a slight cameo.
Oh man,
I know, right? So and then we're
Fun
gonna.
times.
I know, right? So there's going to be maybe a little bit of there might be a cameo by JFK and his exploding head. Too soon?
What year is it?
Excellent.
So but we're gonna have that, and then we're gonna have, like I said, some and these events are actually gonna kind of interplay with the characters, and the characters are gonna be affected by these historical events, since we now have the wonderful invention of the future. So
That's great.
yeah. So we can look back in retrospect and see how was
impressive.
this. So the question we're asking is, how would these events kind of work in, and how would they affect certain characters and change the way we look at them and how we feel about them. So it starts with that, the two main characters, and then there's a handful of supporting casts. And the best part is we have villains that kind of spawn. It's like the heroes are making their own villains. Like they created their own worst nightmare.
Kind of like how Batman creates the Joker.
Yeah.
Almost. In the 1989
Yeah. So, I mean,
film.
yeah, and you definitely want to have people that are interesting, and that's the thing. Like, so we're coming up with the best way to make them so much more
Complicated.
flawed, and that's the thing. Like, the best books always show a person.
Even the
in
villains
conflict.
you want to be likable.
Yeah. So where there's that blurred thing, and the best part is we have a character who is the kind of the other side of the coin for the futurist, and he's a dare I say an Ultron like character. If I have to, just a point of reference, but the idea is that they're running in a cycle, and the futurist wants to become more robotic. He wants to be more machine than man, and while he's striving to be
Cable.
more machine than man, he actually kind of becomes closer to his humanity. Whereas
that always seems to happen.
the opposite, and then the opposite side of that is the more he strives to be human, the villain here, the more he strives to be human, the more cold he becomes and more machine-like he becomes, and it's really going to be a nice, fun play that we're going to do. And then, like I said, and
Getting flashbacks to Star Trek: The Next Generation here, Data.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, we're taking a really interesting twist on it and putting historical markers on it, so that way it kind of grounds it and makes it a little bit more fit to the mold of something that's more believable.
Yeah, sure. That sounds like a vast undertaking.
It's slow and steady. We've been it starts with text messages, lots and lots of back and forth, and I like this, and then Tom will come up with a really great idea, and I'll be like, okay, how can we fit it into the timeline? Because I keep pushing for the timeline, and he's coming up with these fantastic ideas. I'm like, okay, I like that idea, but let's use it for let's use it here, and then just kind of like it's really nice because he gets to play with my character,
Kind of got
with my toys, and he gets to play with my characters and kind of write whatever he wants. And then me, I'm just kind of picking and choosing and saying, okay, well, we'll put it here and we'll put it there. So it's just, I've got a nice little it's like put a coin in him and then just I got my prize.
Yeah. Look what just happened.
Yeah. Hey. So, and like I said, the customers, the characters are there. The characters are there.
The customers will come.
The customers will come. It's like you build it and they'll come.
Yeah.
So that's what's in the future. That's on the high.
That doesn't sound penisy at all.
Thank you.
Sounds fun.
That sounds wonderful.
That was my goal, actually. I woke up this morning and said, I want to create something.
And I hope you guys are too.
Every day.
Every day.
I hope you come on later and talk more about it when you have things more developed and you got things going on for yourselves, a little more concrete.
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah,
We totally appreciate that. Hi there, Professor Boyfriend here. Did you like the video? We hope you did. If so, please like it and share it with everybody you know and spread the gospel of Professor Boyfriend. Please subscribe. We need to hit at least 100 subscribers in order to have our own personalized YouTube channel. And please also click the bell on YouTube to get those notifications. That way, you get updated on whenever we post new material. The Patreon link is right below on the screen. Copy and paste it in your browser. Go to our Patreon and consider contributing. We would love that. Even if it's just $1 or $2. It really helps out. We would love you for it. Right, Pandu?